I woke up this morning and I learned that it's Transgender Day of Visibility, I think it's called, today, on March 31st. That's great. It's a day for trans people and non-binary people, and basically anyone who isn't cis, I guess non-binary people are trans people, that was wrong of me to say, but non-cis people, trans people, to come out and just show that we exist and all that sort of stuff. So I am here in front of the camera again for the first time in a while. First time on this channel, actually. I figured I would just, I don't know, talk a little bit about being trans, coming out, how my life is going. I was meant to do this series on my old channel called Transition Diary, where I would do this on a regular basis, and I just never did. I think I did 1 or 2 entries in it, and I don't know. It's hard to find like something to talk about and feel comfortable talking about it, so it doesn't always work out. But I have been out as trans to my family and friends for a bit over 2 years now. February 22nd was the day I came out to my mother. That's when I considered the proper like start of my transition started. First saw a doctor in August of that year. I knew I was trans before that, but I had no idea how to come out, how to do any of that really. And it was scary, and it's still scary. It's I mean, I'm basically a shut-in at this point. I rarely leave the house, and when I do, it's not for long, or it's for a con, because at cons I feel safer for some reason. Actually, the first time I walked outside during daytime in like a dress or a skirt was at a convention. That's not entirely true. It was the day I went to the convention. It was NERCon in Linköping, here in Sweden, in summer of 2013. So late July, and I was taking the train in the morning to the city that the con was in, and basically I was like, you know what? I'm only bringing girl clothes to the con. Nothing else. I didn't even cosplay that year. It was just like I'm just going with with female clothing, and that includes, of course, what I will go to the train station in. So I put on this yellow orange-ish summer dress, and I put a darker orange what's it called? The bolero? Is that what it is? The thing you have over your shoulders, because I don't like my shoulders bare, because they're bulky and they're bony and they're masculine and they're ugly and all that sort of stuff, you know. All that fun self-loathing. No, but what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I actually went to the convention on a train. I met up my friend at the train station, and she introduced me by my name then. It wasn't Andrea. I didn't decide on Andrea until March of last year, I think. Was it April? No, I think it might have been April, actually. It might have been really early April. I was considering Andrea for a long while, alongside some other names, but I'll get to that. Maybe not in this video, but I'll get to it at some point. I'm gonna try to do more vlogs about this, because it might help someone, who knows. But anyway, so she introduced me to her mom, who was leaving her off at the train station, and like treated me great. She knew I was trans, and she has treated me great since then. She's normally the person I will do like cosplay photography sessions and stuff with. We haven't had one in a while now though. So we go to the convention, and immediately I regretted it. And here's why. Here's why it's both a brilliant idea to be trans at a convention. Be trans is the wrong way, but present as trans at a convention, and a terrible idea to do it for your first time. The good thing is, of course, that a lot of open-minded people come to conventions. And if you tell someone to respect your pronouns, if you say I'm a girl, or I'm NB, well, I don't know how accepting they were of non-binary people 2 years ago. I don't want to say anything I don't know anything about, because I don't identify as non-binary. I identify as female. So, but anyway, like most of them were accepted, and like the people working there were great with it, and it's just generally a pretty mellow experience. So you think like, well, I can do that without any issue. Like, I won't even get weird looks, because, well, everyone looks different at a convention. I don't know if conventions are the same here as they are in the rest of the world. Basically, a Swedish Eastern Asian convention, or like a board game convention, is like 3 or 4 days, 24 hours, open all day long for those days. And it's basically just all kinds of media culture fans, be it video games, anime, board games, music, like K-pop, J-pop, anything really. Do you like books? Are you a Game of Thrones fan? You belong here. Do you like Myst? You belong here. Do you like Tales of games? Well, you belong here. Like, it's just a gathering of a bunch of different like fans of stuff, and even those who don't cosplay will still like just goof up their appearance a bit, or they look like it normally and they just want to be able to present themselves as themselves, and they do. And as such, you think, well, I can do that as well, and I did, and I got some positive feedback, and I got some people who were very accepting. Then there's the problem of it being a convention. It's very popular for cis people who don't normally cross-dress to cross-dress at a convention like this. It's also very common for regular cross-dressers to do it as well. In fact, I would say cross-dressing is far more common, even today, than a trans person is at a Swedish convention. So, naturally, I was mistaken for a cross-dresser. Now, normally, if someone asks, are you cross-dressing? I can say, no, I'm a woman. I mean, if I feel weird down, I will just brush it off and not talk, because I'm not a very social person. But if I'm not in a bad mood, I will just say no, and I'll correct them, and that'll be it. But, instead, what happens is basically a bunch of people they think you're cross-dressing, and their reaction is not to question, it's run up, point, and go, oh my god, you are wearing a skirt, oh my god, you're wearing a dress, that is so cool, can I take a picture with you, oh, can I hug you? And that sounds really, really happy and positive, but when you're specifically dressed up hoping to be recognized as just another girl, it kind of kills you inside. You feel like a caged zoo animal. Like I will hug essentially anyone at a convention. If they want a hug, I will hug them. If people go with free hugs signs or free kisses signs, I will be there. And that's another story of the problem with being trans, but that's for another day. But if you add the like, oh my god, you are wearing a skirt, as if that's some sort of brave or weird thing to do because I'm a man, then you've basically hurt me, and that sucks. I didn't show it. I hugged them. I said, sure, take a picture, and smiled as best I could. But like on the inside, I was just falling apart, and that like I almost considered just like fuck it, I'll go buy just a pair of pants somewhere in the city and just pretend none of this happened. But it didn't. In the end, every convention since has been a more positive experience each time, and I'm so glad I'm able to present as female in public today. I do have the advantage of some advantage to some people because I'm very slim. I'm actually underweight, so it's not. It feels wrong saying it's a benefit or anything because I'm seriously like underweight to the point. I don't know if you can see it well. Like you can see my veins really well. You can see my bones very well. The sunlight is ruining it. But basically, I am not healthy. I'm very, 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 very underweight, and it's been a problem essentially all my life. It means I don't have much energy. It means, well, I'm very frail and so forth, and it kind of sucks. But I do what I can. But that does mean lady sizes are much easier to get into. Not always. Some of them are still hard to get into, especially with the shoulder swing. But normally I can get into a small or medium dress if I buy one. And that's something a lot of trans people can't, unfortunately, do. Because they're normally built or they're plus size in some way. And it's so you have to go to a different store and then you stick out even more and it gets embarrassing and you get scared and you feel uncomfortable and you leave. And like I think every trans person has had that moment at some point, and we just imagine it's getting worse. So I guess I do have it easier than some in that regard. I also have it easier than some because I'm also white and I live in Sweden. That's not to say Sweden is good with trans care. It really isn't. It's kind of a disaster regarding trans care. It sort of gets away with it because we famously have paid healthcare, which includes the surgery if you want to change the genitalia. But like, yeah, it's true. That is paid for. That's great. Getting there, not paid for. And we don't have a good program for it at all. I should know. I am in it. But so yeah, so that was how it was for me the first time I walked outdoors publicly as a woman. I done it at night. I had done it at night in the past because there's less people out, and I don't know. It's just easier. I can also do it in Stockholm, like a bigger city, without issue, because when it's more people, they don't have time to stare. Like you can easily blend into a massive crowd, but if you're like in a medium-sized city, you stand out. If you're in a small city, a small town or something, you stand out even more. But if it's at night, hopefully there won't be many people out and they won't see you, so you go out. I remember I was really depressed one night. I sort of had a breakdown after something that triggered a bad reaction in me, and it was before I had publicly presented as female, and what I did to basically just shake that off was I dressed up in my favorite skirt, which I wish I actually like had on hand so I can show it because I made it myself, with some help, but still. I bought the fabric and all that stuff. And I just put that on. I put some knee socks or something on because I like having knee socks too. Knee socks are thigh socks to skirts. I rarely do have regular like short skirts, socks, you know, the ones that go up here. I don't have any socks on right now. I rarely have those to skirts, but it happens. Anyway, I put those on. I put on a cute top. I think I maybe put on a something above the top because it was cold out because it was like 2 or 3 a.m. at night. But I did that. I put on my favorite necklace and I just ran. Like I just ran for like, well, as long as I could. Then I started getting. Because I'm not in good shape, so I couldn't run for too long. I went out of stamina. But I just ran a bunch. Just because the feeling of cold wind flapping against my bare thighs and the skirt just doing it as well. I guess the skirt's doing the flapping and the wind is just like breezing and brushing. That's really, really nice to feel. when you feel like you will be mistreated for dressing the way you dress or being the person you are. At least to me it was, and that really did help me that night, and that just sort of came into my mind right now. Like, I'm just rambling, really. I've done it for 15 minutes now, I see, and I don't know how much longer this will be going on for. I haven't planned this out at all. I didn't even know what I was going to talk about when I started. I will say, though, I've been checking out the Trans Day of Visibility hashtag on Twitter, and I'm surprised that the majority of people I see are posting pictures and stuff are trans men or people who identify as non-binary or outside of the binary genders. Well, that's non-binary. Why do I try to explain stuff with more words than I need to? I don't get it. It's just dumb. But yeah, non-binary people and trans men. Very few trans women, from what I saw. Maybe it's different now, I don't know. And that's not a complaint or anything. I just thought it was kind of odd. I was expecting it to be more equal, I guess. Still, props to all the brave trans men and non-binary people who just threw their selfies up there. I sure did. I posted at least 3 selfies today, for different reasons, and I actually thought 2 of them were quite okay. I don't like my appearance. I don't think I look good, but I try when I take a photo at least. I think I look terrible right now, but whatever. This hair thing is kind of cool though, but it's really annoying because it's right in my field of vision. It's like cutting through my eye like some stupid JRPG protagonist. Like, that's weird. Now it's all that I'm focusing on. That's not good, so I'm going to brush it away. I don't know what I'm saying. What else can I talk about? Yeah, I'll keep talking more about my first year of coming out, I guess, because that's what I was on, and I'll wrap that up. So before I went to the convention the first time, I was coming out to friends, I was coming out to family, I mentioned February 22nd was the day I came out to my mother, the big day, and I consider that the day I started my transition. But of course, there were more people to come out to, both in friends and family, except for my mother. I live with my 2 brothers. I came out to them same spring, and I didn't live with them at the time. I had moved home in April, so in April I lived with them, I guess. So actually, maybe I did live with them then. I don't know. It was March or April, and they both accepted it. Well, I still live with them, so I don't. Actually, I suppose a lot of people live with people who don't accept them. I should not speak. I say the wrong things when I don't have like planned out ahead of time. But they were accepting. I mean, of course they did a lot of mistakes early on, like misgendering and stuff like that. My 2 younger brothers, the older of my 2 younger brothers, has done really well, and I'll miss him when he moves out. Actually, he's moving out in 2 months, because he's been really fun to hang with just for the last couple of months, and he's been doing great. He was the first one I heard refer to me as his sister when he was like speaking with other people, and that made me happy. My mom took it great. She was questioning stuff at first, but after like 2 weeks, she was just all about supporting me and understanding, and that was great. My father, he's accepting in his own way, I suppose. And that sounds terrible, but I guess it kind of is. Basically, I told my father the next time he came to visit, and Mom had basically said, Andrea has something to talk to you about. And he came into my room, and he asked, like, you had something you wanted to talk about? And I said, yeah, I do. And after a lot of, like, building up courage, probably some crying, I don't remember, I told him I want to change my legal sex. I want to go through surgery, and I want to be viewed as a woman. And at that point, he was completely supportive. He said, of course, it's your life. You should do what you feel is right. And he hugged me, and that was it. And that was great. But subsequently, throughout the 2 years, every time I meet him, there's always some kind of fuck up, and those happen. And whenever I try to explain to him, or correct him, or tell him why something is bad to do, I get the response of, you have to understand this is really hard for me. As if he was the one going through the big tough thing and not the trans woman. But, you know, at least I'm luckier than some. No one has thrown me out. Friends have left me. That's the worst thing I had. I think maybe a few of my my grandmother, which is the only grandparent that's alive in my family. She's great, but I think like some of the older people, like in my parents and grandparents' family, I don't think they're that accepting. I know I was told that I shouldn't tell one of them, because they would just start spreading it around as if I wasn't open with it. But still, you know, you shouldn't out people, so that's good advice, I suppose. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the first year I came out. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's sort of it. Been out for 2 years. It's Transgender Day of Visibility. And I didn't even talk about how I realized I was transgender. I guess I'll do that some other time. This has been 22 minutes of me talking, so it's been well enough time to get tired of my voice. I'm already tired of hearing it, and I'm just hearing it in first person. So listening to this back to make sure it's good quality, if I do that, I don't always do, it's going to be hell. But thank you for watching, and to anyone out there who is trans, or who think they're trans and need someone to talk to, there's always people you can talk to. You can talk to me. I'm always available on Twitter, and I'll listen to you. There's people all over the internet, social networks you can find, and most of the time, if you need professional help, which, you know, if you want to go through the transition, you will. There will be someone to start it. Maybe not someone good, but if you get started, you can at least eventually be referred to someone good at it. So that's something, I suppose. So don't be afraid to ask for help, is what I'm trying to say. And thank you for watching, and a happy Transgender Day of Visibility to all, and I hope that things will get better for us all soon. And especially, actually, one last note, especially trans women of color. Because, like I said, I'm white, and I live in Sweden, so I have it pretty good comparatively to the extremely disgusting amount of trans women murdered just this year, which were almost all of them in the US, at least. That's where I've been keeping track. Almost all of them have been women of color. I think most of them African American. Black. Actually, is black the right thing to say? I'm Swedish. We don't have the same cultural perspective on the history of racism. So I'm never sure if I used the right term or not, and I want to. So if you know, then I would just leave a comment or something. But I think most of them were African American. But I'm sure there were other people of color as well that we haven't noticed. I can imagine a lot of Asian trans women are in danger a lot more than, well, white trans women would be, Hispanic trans women as well, and so forth and so forth. Point is, being white is kind of good, even when it's bad, but it's still bad, so it still sucks. And now I'm literally talking about nothing, so bye. Oh, my Twitter is Andrea_Ritsu if you wanted to. You can see that in the description if you wanted to, actually. So why am I saying it? Bye.